Hi, I'm Kevin O'Connor, and welcome back to Ask This Old House, where we'll go anywhere to answer your home improvement questions. Today,
a leaky old radiator. Made a mess of this floor, and I'm gonna make it beautiful. Now I'm gonna pull it right up. Okay, that's a start. Now we gotta just get them all out of there.
And I'm helping a couple save money on their energy bill by installing a high-efficiency furnace and air conditioner.
there's a lot coming up today, so stick around.
All right, Kevin, I got one for you. Great young couple moves into their first house, not a big house, about 1,300 square feet. Has electric baseboard heating. They don't think anything of it. First winter comes, $900 a month in electrical.
Ouch, that hurts.
So they insulate the attic. They add a wood stove. They start throwing the wood into the fire, and still it's $600 a month in electrical.
So what's the problem? Is it an old system, just not efficient?
Well, electric baseboard is really an electrical element like a toaster element. And it's good for supplemental heat, but it's not really a viable solution for whole house heating in a cold climate like we have. So what we did was we put some ductwork in and we gave them a proper central and heating cooling system. All right, guys, it is time to get rid of that electric baseboard, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now the solution for you is to have a new gas-fired furnace down in the basement. That means the ductwork system we run is going to have both heating and air conditioning for the whole house. Now we've been here for 2 or 3 days. You can see we've got the trunk run here in the corner that goes up to the second floor, but most of our work is right down here in the basement. Here is the heart of your new heating and cooling system right here. It's a gas-fired furnace. There's a blower inside, and it's going to blow the air across after it's heated by the gas burner. In the summer, it's going to go across a cooling coil here to be cooled. Now it leaves the furnace and goes into this metal trunk. Now there's 2 trunk branches, one right here for the first floor, and another one that runs over here that goes up into that second floor that we saw upstairs. Now off of this trunk, we will have these flexible ducts that are going to feed up to the individual registers in the house. Now Barry Cullen and his crew are doing the installation for us today. Hey Barry, how you doing?
Great, everything's looking great.
Good progress?
Yep.
Now, to run ductwork, we always use this. This is a rectangular trunk, and it comes in 2 pieces, L-shaped, and now we bring those together to form our rectangle.
There's a tongue and groove here, so the tongue goes, it fits into the groove.
Yeah.
And then I take my hammer and I tap it in.
Good. Now, this seam is good that it's holding it together, but it's not that tight. And we want to seal that with foil tape. Now, ironically, we're not using duct tape. We're using foil tape, and that's really important to seal these seams to make them airtight. Good, nice and tight. Now all the trunks are going to be wrapped with this shiny foil insulation. Now this is actually 2 pieces of foil with a bubble pack inside, much like you use for shipping. Now what are you doing there, Barry?
For added insulation, we put these spacer strips on that create an air space between the duct and the insulation.
So here's your piece of insulation. We wrap that right around. I'll help hold it tight, and let's tape that long seam. So this piece of trunk is sealed and insulated. You can see the little bit of an air gap right there for some additional insulation, and now it's ready to connect. Now at the end of this trunk, you can see there are 2 pieces of metal sticking up right here. And on this piece of duct, we have the same pieces of metal sticking out. How do you make that connection?
We use an S-clate that acts as a coupling to join both pieces together.
Okay, good. You got one here, you got another one on this side?
Yep.
All right, ready to pop it into place?
Yep.
Give us a hand here, Jim. You're the master. All right, so you can see those S channels mating right together. Now the S cleats make a nice tight seal at the top and the bottom, but you can see there's still a gap right here on the side. So to bring that together, we use another type of cleat called a drive cleat. And Jim's going to drive that right onto there. And now he just drops those tabs down to hold it in place. And to secure that trunk in place, we use some perforated strap with a sheetrock screw. To secure the cleats into our joint, we use some self-tapping sheet metal screws. Now to make a tight seal between 2 pieces of trunk, we don't use foil tape. We actually use a duct sealant that we paint on with a brush. And we cover up the gap with a little more insulation. All right, so now we need to transition from the trunk right here to these flexible supplies. And to do that, we're going to use this. It's called a takeoff. That's going to install on the side of the trunk right here. Now to install it, we're going to turn it around and mark it and cut the insulation, then cut our hole into the trunk. Now here is a special tool that we need for our sheet metal job. It's a hole cutter. It has a pivot point right here and a drill bit. And with that we can cut a perfect 7-inch round hole. Jim, here you go. Now he's going to drill a pivot hole right in the center. So once he has his center hole, now he puts the pivot into the middle, and now we can cut a perfect round hole. Beautiful. Now that's a tool. Now there's some peel away tape, and there's a nice tight gasket on the outside of that takeoff. Now with the takeoff in place, the last thing is to install some zip screws. Now every single takeoff has a manual damper, and that allows us to adjust the balance point of air in the room. Now we just apply mastic to that connection before we bring the flexible duct onto it. That makes a nice tight seal. And then we cover it all with the outer insulation. And to secure it all together, we use an oversized cable tie. Now all of the conditioned air on the first floor is going to come up through floor registers like this. Now the register has dampers on the back that can be adjusted, and it's going to tie into this. This is a register boot. Now the register boot is a standard dimension of 4 inches by 12. Now it'll also adapt to this 7-inch round for our flexible duct down in the basement. So we've marked the floor where we want to drill our holes, and we've made sure there's no obstructions underneath. He's drilling 4 holes, 1 in each corner as a starter hole, and we'll connect those holes with a reciprocating seal.
Okay, it's coming up.
On the first floor, we're supplying the air to the room through floor registers. On the second floor, there'll be ceiling registers. Now we only have one furnace, and that's down in the basement. So we needed to find a place where we could run our trunk from the basement up to the attic so we could downfeed our second floor. And the only logical place we could do it was right here in the corner of the living room. Now this will have to be boxed in, but right above us is a closet that is a perfect location to hide the duct on its way to the attic. Well guys, there was a time that a furnace had just 2 speeds, full on and off. You turn that thermostat up and that blower would come on full, the burner would come on full, and it was uncomfortable and inefficient. This unit's a lot different. Inside this unit there's a variable speed blower and a modulating gas burner. That means on mild days, which is most of the heating season, the fan comes on just the right amount and the burner does the same. That means that it stays on longer at a lower temperature. That's more efficient and more comfortable. Okay. Now we've still got some ductwork to do here. There's a return that's going to come right down here, but you can see where it comes down into is a filter. Now this is one of the maintenance items you guys should pay attention to. This is a 5-inch pleated filter, and you should make sure this stays clean. Either vacuum it out or replace it if it gets too dirty.
All right.
Now the other thing is, this is a single furnace that's providing heating and cooling to both the first and the second floor. Now imagine we're in heating mode. Warm air comes right here, and there are these 2 trunks. This is the first floor and that's the second floor. In the winter, warm air will want to take the path of least resistance and go out through this first floor trunk mostly and go into that first floor registers.
Okay, how do we make sure we get enough heat on the second floor?
Well, in the winter, you'll have a lot of the air will come through the first floor trunk. Some of it will go to the second floor trunk, but it'll rise because warm air is lighter than cool air. It'll get to that second floor.
Okay.
And how does the air conditioning work?
Well, that's where you may have to come in. There's a damper right here, and we may have you come down and close off this damper a little bit in the summer during the cooling season. What that does is it forces some of that cool air to that second floor trunk, drives it up to the top of the building where it'll fall down and make the whole house comfortable. All right, so at least twice a year, you may have to adjust this, and once a year, you're going to check this filter. But you are going to save some energy, you're going to be comfortable. A lot better than that electric baseboard.
Very well. Thank you so much for everything.
Well, I don't get any of the thanks. Barry and his crew did all the work.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Good, how are you, Tom?
And who's this?
This is Annie.
Hi Annie, how are you?
Say
She's
hi.
not talking to me today. So I like your house, it's really nice. How long have you been here?
We've been here about 2 years now.
Looks like you've done a little bit of work here.
Yeah, we've done some work, a few coats of paint here and there.
Yeah,
And,
it looks great. I love the colors.
yeah, over in the kitchen here, we took down half a wall.
This is nice.
We added an addition family room off the back.
Boy, that opens that right up.
Yeah.
Really looks nice. Well, you wrote me about your floors.
Yes. The problem is this under the radiator over here, there seems to be some water damage
yeah.
from, must have leaked at one point, but it's
Not leaking now, is it?
not leaking now.
Okay, oh yeah. Wow, well that's definitely in bad shape. This is an old steam radiator. They really generate a lot of heat, but when they leak, they can do a lot of damage to the floor. Well, we got our work cut out for it. Who wants to help?
I'll help.
All right, so you can be my carpenter's helper, and Guy, you can be on baby care.
Excellent.
All right, Emily, the good thing is your heating system is a steam system, so we don't have to drain the system down. We can remove the radiator and get right to work. Okay, Emily, I want you to take this Stilson wrench and I want you to put it right up underneath that nut, and you're gonna pull up on it. Right in there, push it right up tight. There you go, now pull up hard. There we go. All right, so now we're gonna loosen it. All set?
Yep.
Okay, now I'm going to take a block of wood, I'm going to put it on the floor over here, and I'm going to spin the radiator around, and hopefully we can get it on those blocks of wood. Now I'm going to slide it down a little bit. Okay, that's good. With the radiator removed, you can really see how bad this floor is damaged around this shutoff right here. But you can also see these black stains. This is from moisture that has dripped out of the radiator and is actually giving you black marks on the floor. So what we need to do is remove this whole section right here. Now I don't want to cut a straight line. I want to stagger the joints, just like you have in the rest of the floor. So we're going to start by taking out some of these boards. So I want to remove this board, this one, and this one in a staggered pattern. Now using my chisel, I'm going to hold it away from the joint and I'm going to chisel down to that joint right across the board. Now I'm going to go straight down on this joint. Now actually, you can see that nice clean piece of wood right here inside this board. That's actually the end of the tongue. If you see, I can drag it right out, and that's the tongue. We're taking it out of the groove. Now we're going to go after this board right here. Okay, now have a good grip on your chisel.
Yep.
Hold it right in there and bang away with a hammer. All right, now take it out and just slide the chisel over a little bit. Good, hit it hard. All right, now take it out and move it over to the other edge. You do not want to hit this board here with the chisel. You don't want to put a nick in it. So go right there with the chisel. Don't let the edge of the chisel pass it. There you go. Oh, go there. Good. Yep. Hit it like you mean it. Push down, the piece will pop right out. Yeah, there you go. All right, now we're going to try to pull these boards out. To do that, we're going to use this flat bar right here. What I want you to do is take the flat bar, put it in the joint like that, and hit it with a hammer and try to drive it right in there. All right, let's see how that works. All right, you ready?
Yep.
Okay. Put it right in a nice wide part of that joint because it's easy to get in there, it's wide. There you go. All right. Swing the hammer, don't push the hammer. There you go. Look at that, you're right in there. Okay, see how easy that was? Now you're in. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to pull on that bar, nice and firm. Push down with the bar, put the chisel in there, move down with the bar, and turn the bar over. And now I'm going to pull it right up. Okay, that's a start. Now we gotta just get them all out of there. Let's tap that in with a hammer. I gotta be real careful. I don't want to break this board right here. So I can see that board starting to split. I'm just gonna take my chisel, go right on that crack. What I'm going to do is I'm going to chisel right down the edge of this board like this, because I don't want to break out this edge of the board, and it looks like it was starting to come. So I'm just going to take a strip right out. The reason I want to take this out is because this board right here has the tongue on it. That tongue is in the groove of this board right here. So if I pull it up wrong, it'll snap off that board. Now I'm trying to split the board. There it is, it's splitting right there, right down the length. Yeah, that's beautiful. All right, now I'm going to take the bar and I'm going to drive it right in that new split that I just made. Push down. There it is. Nice. Now I'm going to hit this board towards the wall to get the board out of the groove. Now the existing floor in the house is actually called strip flooring, and this is red oak. It's 2 1/4 inch wide, and you can actually buy this at the home center. And that's what we did. We actually bought a bundle. Let me show you what we have here. We have a tongue on one side, a groove on the other, a tongue on the end, and a groove on the other end. And that just fits right into place. Push it into the tongue on the long side, and you bang it right into place, and you have a nice tight joint, and that won't lift out. Now I want to measure for the first piece. From the wall to this first joint right here, we have 27 1/8. Now it's very important that I hook my tape measure on the top part of the board and not the tongue. So I hook it on, bring it down, 27 1/8. Square it up. Now I set my saw on a slight angle to chamfer the edge, so when I put it in, this lower edge won't hit the baseboard, but the top edge will. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to take the tongue end of the board and I want to slip it into the groove of the existing floor. I'm going to start up high, put the tongue in the end like that, right into the groove. I want to hold the tongue as close to the boards that are in place, go right by them. Now you can see the underside of the chamfer edge doesn't hit the baseboard, but the top edge does. Now you can see I have a nice tight joint. I'm going to take a scrap piece of flooring and I'm going to knock it into place. Now while I cut the next one, why don't you put a bead of adhesive down? All right, now this time I'm going to put 2 pieces in at once. Put one in the groove down the end. I'm going to put this end against the baseboard, and then I'm going to put the 2 pieces together in the center, tongue and groove. I'm going to push it right in place. All right, the joints all tighten up, and now I'll just knock it in place with my scrap piece of wood. When the floor was originally installed, the installer put a filler strip right there, about 1/8 of an inch. So I made one using my table saw. I actually left the tongue on and I ripped it down, chamfering the edge on a slight bevel. Now I want to put my filler strip right into this groove right here. The tongue of the filler strip goes right in, just like that. Now I'm ready to install it. But first I want to run another bead of construction adhesive. Now I had to cut a wedge on the end of my filler strip because the original filler strip broke when we removed the floor. So a little bit of construction adhesive on the end. I have to put it in on an angle to get the tongue into the groove. I also have to hold the board to my right a little bit so the tongue will go by the end of the board. Now I'm going to take a scrap piece of flooring. and I'm going to tap it in place. I can now tap the board into the groove. All right, now because this is the last piece of wood that's going in, and I measured right from the baseboard to the end of this board right here, I had to cut the tongue off or I wouldn't be able to get it into place. So now I'm going to drop it down, hold it on an angle, bring it up so the tongue goes into the groove. And I'm going to push it in. I'm going to tap it in with a block of wood. To hold the edge of the board down that's against the wall, I'm just going to put a tack in it until the glue dries. All right, our boards are in place. Now we're going to hit it with a sander and put a little finish on it. Now what I want to do now is I want to fill up some of these seams with some wood filler, and then we'll sand it one more time. All right, now we're ready to put on our finish. But our first coat is going to be an alcohol-based sealer, and we're going to use a shellac, amber in color. So we're going to try to match the color of the floor. We're going to put on a couple of coats. The first one will go on nice and light, and we'll let that dry. The amber color in the shellac looks pretty good, but what I want you to do is wait till tomorrow. Sand it with some 100 grit paper, put a little bit of stain over that, and a couple of coats of poly. Then we're ready to put the radiator back in.
Thanks, Tom. It looks great. What a difference.
It was my pleasure.
As much as we all love you, Tommy, is there any way that we can prevent having you show up? Because by the time you get there, the damage is done, right?
That's where you call me. Look, you want to get to the point that you don't have a leak on the floor. You're going to look at a couple of different places. One is this nut right here. And a lot of times this comes loose and it drips right down there, so you want to take a wrench and tighten it up clockwise against this valve. The other place is right here. You can see the stem that rises right here, and there's a bonnet nut. Sometimes that gasket is gone. You can build your own gasket using a little bit of Teflon tape that you wrap here and then tighten it right down afterwards. And that way it keeps it off the floor.
So a little bit of prevention and we can save you a house call.
Absolutely.
It's expensive when he gets there.
Oh, what about you?
Well, until next time, I'm Kevin O'Connor.
I'm Richard Trethewey.
I'm Tom Silva.
And I'm Roger Cook.
For Ask This Old House. It's not that we don't want to see you, Tommy. People love seeing you.
I'm expensive. You got a lot of it.